Listen, there's one thing you can do today that will stop people from walking over you. Not by begging, not by changing who you are, by becoming so steady, so clear, and so honest that disrespect bounces off you. If you stay with me for the next hour, I'll show you the exact steps to build that unshakable presence, and the first one starts inside your chest. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. Maybe it was subtle, a dismissive look, a sarcastic comment, someone speaking over you in a meeting, or a friend who treated your time like it was disposable. Or maybe it was blunt, a direct insult, an open disregard for your worth. Do you remember how it felt? That sting in your chest, that fire in your stomach, that moment when you wanted to say something, to stand tall, but instead you froze. You swallowed it down, and you carried the weight of that moment long after it ended. Disrespect doesn't just hurt in the moment. It lingers. It chips away at you. It makes you second-guess yourself. It makes you question if you're enough. And if it happens often enough, it doesn't just wound you. It changes you. You start walking smaller, speaking softer, living less boldly than you were meant to. But here's the truth you need to hear. You were not born to be walked over. You were not created to live at the mercy of other people's opinions, moods, or temper. And I promise you this, if you follow the path I lay out for you today, you will never again tolerate disrespect the way y'other is a painful but liberating truth that many people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. You cannot control other people. You can't control what they say about you, how they look at you, or the level of respect they choose to give. You can't control whether they gossip behind your back, dismiss your ideas, or underestimate your abilities. And the harder you try to make people treat you the way you want, the more powerless you become. Think about it. How much of your life have you spent trying to win approval? How many times have you bitten your tongue, not because it was wise, but because you didn't want someone to dislike you? How many times have before anyone in this world can respect you? You must respect yourself. That's where it begins. Self-respect is the foundation. Without it, every boundary you try to set will collapse. Every word you speak will sound hollow, and every attempt to demand respect will fall flat. Because the truth is, people can feel it. They can sense whether you value yourself or whether you're just pretending. Think about the times in your life when you tolerated what you shouldn't have. Maybe it was a relationship where you stayed longer than you knew was healthy. Maybe it was a job where your effort was overlooked and you kept saying yes because you were afraid of losing your paycheck. Or maybe it was a so-called friend who only called you when they needed something, and you kept answering. Why did you allow it? Deep down, it wasn't just because of them. It was because you hadn't yet built an unshakable respect for yourself. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is not pride. It is the quiet, steady decision that I will not betray myself, that my values, my time, my dignity are worth protecting. When you start to build this foundation, something powerful happens. The world begins to mirror it back to you. People treat you the way you teach them to treat you. If you treat yourself as disposable, others will. If self-respect is the foundation, then boundaries are the walls that protect it. Without boundaries, your dignity is left exposed, vulnerable to anyone who feels like crossing it. And here's the harsh reality. People will test you, not because they always mean harm, but because human nature pushes against limits. If you don't define your lines, others will decide where they belong. Many of us were never taught how to set boundaries. We were told to be nice, to go along, to avoid conflict at all costs. And so, we learned to silence ourselves when someone stepped too close. We laughed off disrespect, told ourselves it wasn't worth making a fuss, and swallowed the anger until it turned into resentment, bitterness, or shame. But what you don't confront, you condone. And what you condone, you eventually become complicit in. A boundary is simple. It is a clear statement of what is acceptable and what is not. It is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself. It is the line you draw that says, if you cross this, I will act. Not with rage, not with revenge, but with clarity and certainty. Let's break it down into 3 parts. Define, say, enforce. Define. You cannot protect long before you ever speak a word. People have already decided whether they will take you seriously. It happens in seconds, sometimes less. A look, a movement. The way you carry yourself announces to the world whether you are to be respected or ignored. Presence is not just what you say. Presence is what you project. It's the silent message your body broadcasts. I am here. I am steady. I am not afraid of you. And make no mistake, disrespect often begins where presence is weak. If you walk into a room with slouched shoulders, eyes glued to the ground, voice trembling, you are teaching people how to treat you before you've even opened your mouth. This is why your body matters, not the shape of it, not the size, but the language it speaks, straight posture, calm breath, unbroken eye contact, movements that are deliberate, not rushed. These are signals of self-respect, and the world responds to them instinctively. You don't have to announce your worth. Your presence does it for you. Think of the last time you saw someone enter a room and instantly draw attention, without saying a word. Maybe it was the way they walked, grounded, unhurried, like they belonged. Maybe it was the way they stood, tall, chest open, chin level, as if nothing could knock them off balance. They didn't demand respect with noise. They commanded it with presence. That is the power you can cultivate. Presence begins with posture. Your spine tells the truth about you. When it is hunched, when your shoulders curl forward, the world sees insecurity before you even speak. But when your shoulders are back, your chest lifted, your stance firm, the world sees someone who honors themselves. Even if you don't feel confident at first, your body can teach your mind. Stand strong long enough. Respect is not only felt through how you stand, it is heard through how you speak. The moment you open your mouth, people measure you. They listen not just to your words, but to your tone, your pace, and the confidence behind each syllable. And here's the reality. Many people lose respect not because they lack intelligence or strength, but because they waste their words. Think about the times you've over-explained yourself. You wanted to be understood, so you piled on reasons, excuses, justifications. You kept talking, hoping that if you said enough, the other person would finally value your point. But what usually happens? The more you explain, the less weight your words carry. The more you beg for understanding, the weaker your voice sounds. Respect is never earned through endless explanation. It is earned through clarity. Great leaders, powerful figures, people who command rooms, they all share this one trait. They speak less, but every word matters. They don't fill silence with nervous chatter. They don't rush to answer just to avoid discomfort. They let their words land like stones dropped into water, simple, steady, undeniable. This doesn't mean you have to sound aggressive. In fact, aggression often masks insecurity. Power lies in calm, concise speech. When someone disrespects you, you don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to shout them down. You only need to say the truth firmly and directly. Imagine looking someone in the eye and saying in a measured tone, "I won't allow you to speak to me that way." Nothing more, nothing less. The strength is in the simplicity. Silence, too, is a weapon of respect. Weak there is a moment, you felt it, when disrespect hits you like fire. Someone rolls their eyes, mocks your words, or tries to cut you down. In that instant, your chest tightens, your blood rushes hot, and every part of you wants to react, to snap back, to lash out, to prove you will not be disrespected. But here's the paradox. The more reactive you are, the less respect you earn. Respect is not won by being louder than the person who disrespects you. It is not gained by throwing insults back, by showing you can play the same game. Respect is won by composure, by the ability to remain steady, calm, and unmoved when someone tries to shake you. That is emotional mastery. Why is this so powerful? Because disrespect is often a test, consciously or unconsciously. People push your buttons to see what you're made of. If they can rattle you easily, they know you are not in control. Your emotions are, and once your emotions control you, anyone can control you. But when you remain calm, when you breathe deep and hold steady, you send a different message. I am not owned by your words. I am not controlled by your energy. I decide how I respond. Don't think about the time you lost control. Maybe someone said something cruel, and you exploded. Maybe you stormed out, slammed doors, shouted until your voice broke. In that moment, you felt powerful. But afterward, didn't you also feel empty? Didn't you regret how much of yourself you handed over to them? That's the trap of reactivity. It feels strong in the moment, but it always leaves you weaker. Now think about the opposite, a time when someone tried to provoke you, but you didn't give them what they wanted. You stayed calm. You looked at them with steady eyes, maybe said a few simple words, or maybe said nothing at all, and the situation died in their hands. That is real strength. That is the kind of control that commands respect without needing to demand it. So how do you build this mastery? It begins with one word: pause. The pause is your shield. When the insult lands, when the disrespect cuts, the first instinct is to fire back. But instead of reacting, pause. Take a slow breath. Let the fire burn through you without spilling out of you. That moment of pause gives you space. Space to choose instead of react. Next comes naming. When you feel anger or hurt rise inside, name it silently. I feel anger. I feel hurt. Why? Because when you name it, you separate yourself from it. You are no longer drowning in emotion. You are observing it. And when you observe it, you regain control. Then there is redirecting. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes the most powerful move is to redirect the energy, to steer the conversation back to the issue at hand instead of the disrespect. For example, if someone mocks your idea in a meeting, you don't bite at the mockery. You simply say, "The idea is still valid. Let's focus on that." Calm, steady, unmoved. Understand this. People expect you to crack. They expect you to lose it. When you don't, it unsettles them. It forces them to see that you are not a toy they can play with. You are a force they must reckon with. And here's the deeper truth. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing feelings. It is not about pretending you're not hurt, pretending you're not angry. It's about choosing how, when, and where to express those feelings in a way that honors your dignity. Anger has its place. Firmness has its place. But uncontrolled outbursts, they only hand power to the one who disrespected you. When you become the person who cannot be provoked, who cannot be dragged into chaos, something shifts. People begin to measure their words around you. They become more careful with their tone, more deliberate with their actions, not because you threatened them, but because you showed them a level of control they don't possess. And whether they admit it or not, they respect it. There is a kind of respect that cannot be forced, demanded, or faked. It comes from being the person who consistently delivers, the person others can depend on when things get difficult. That kind of respect is not given lightly. It is earned over time through competence and integrity. Competence means you are good at what you do. You've taken the time to learn, to sharpen your craft, to develop skills that make you valuable. Integrity means you do what you say you will do. You keep your word, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. Together, competence and integrity create a presence that people cannot dismiss, because people may doubt your words, but they cannot deny your results. Don't think about the people in your life you naturally respect. Chances are they're not the loudest. They don't have to boast about themselves. Instead, their actions speak. They show up. They follow through. When they say they'll be there at 8, they're there at 8. When they promise to deliver, they deliver. That quiet consistency builds trust. And trust is the soil where respect grows. Now, compare that to the people who talk big but never follow through. The ones who make promises but always have excuses. Maybe they're fun in the moment, but deep down, you don't truly respect them. Why? Because words without weight mean nothing. Respect cannot survive where there is no reliability. Here's the truth. Every time you keep a promise to yourself or to others, you are stacking bricks. On the wall of your own respect will happen. It is inevitable. At some point, someone will test your patience, cross your boundaries, or attempt to diminish your worth. And when it happens, the difference between being crushed by it and standing unshakable lies entirely in how you respond. Many people react impulsively. They lash out, shout, or try to retaliate. And in that instant, the disrespect feels like a victory for the other person because they have provoked a reaction. But true power, true respect, comes not from reacting, but from responding with clarity, control, and intentionality. The first step is having scripts ready. You don't have to improvise every time someone crosses the line. Prepare phrases that are simple, direct, and assertive. For example, mild disrespect. I don't appreciate that tone. Let's speak respectfully. Moderate disrespect. I won't engage in this conversation if it continues this way. Severe disrespect. Your behavior is not acceptable. I'm leaving until it changes. These phrases are not about being aggressive. They are about protecting your dignity. They communicate boundaries clearly, without anger or justification. When you speak like this, you shift the power dynamic. You are no longer a passive target. You are the one who controls the interaction. The second step is defining consequences. A boundary without consequence is meaningless. If someone repeatedly crosses your line and you do nothing, you teach them that your words are empty. Decide in advance what actions you will take if a boundary is ignored. Will you leave the room? Will you limit contact? Will you remove them from your life? When you act on these consequences consistently, people learn that disrespect has a cost, and your value rises in their eyes. Next is the power of exits. There is enormous strength in walking away. Leaving is not weakness. It is a declaration of self-respect. Sometimes the bravest, most powerful move is to step back, remove yourself from toxic energy, and refuse to participate in a situation that diminishes you. Remember, your time, energy, and dignity are precious. If someone doesn't honor them, you have every right to protect them. Responding effectively also requires calm presence. Your tone, your body language, your pacing, these all reinforce your message. Stand tall. Breathe steadily. Maintain eye contact. Speak slowly, deliberately. When your presence is grounded and your words are clear, disrespect loses its power. It is now you can build self-respect, set boundaries, master your emotions, and speak with clarity. But if the people around you do not honor that, your efforts will be undermined. Respect is contagious, but so is disrespect. The environment you immerse yourself in, and the company you keep, either reinforce your worth or chip away at it. Choosing who you allow near you is not optional if you want to live a life where disrespect rarely touches you. Take a moment to think about your closest relationships. Who lifts you up? Who drains your energy? Who encourages your growth? Who criticizes you unfairly, undermines your confidence, or mocks your values? Many people unknowingly allow toxic relationships to persist, believing that loyalty or love requires tolerance of disrespect. But respect is not optional. It is non-negotiable. The people you spend the most time with either reinforce your dignity or erode it. Your environment matters, too. Every conversation, every interaction, every space you occupy sends signals to your subconscious mind about what is acceptable. If you constantly find yourself surrounded by negativity, gossip, or ridicule, it becomes difficult to maintain composure and clarity. On the other hand, when you choose environments where integrity, kindness, and professionalism are the norm, your own standards rise naturally. You don't have to fight to maintain respect. The culture itself supports it. Curating allies begins with self-honesty. Make a list, mentally or physically, of the people in your life. Who energize you and the ones who deplete you? Ask yourself, do they honor my time, my values, my boundaries? Do they inspire me to be better, or do they tempt me to compromise my standards? One simple, honest answer can change everything. If someone consistently disrespects you or tolerates crossing your boundaries, their presence in your life must be reconsidered. But curating allies is not only about removing negativity, it's about actively seeking alignment. Surround yourself with people who model the respect you want in your life. Seek mentors who demonstrate unwavering integrity. Form connections with peers who value your contributions. Build friendships with those who listen, support, and challenge you in ways that push you to grow rather than diminish your confidence. When you fill your inner circle with respect, it reinforces your own sense of worth. Your physical and digital environment matters as well. Social media, workplaces, and even casual social groups shape how you view yourself and what behavior you accept. Constant exposure to judgmental, toxic, or negative people, even online, erodes your emotional armor over time. Limit exposure to these spaces and curate environments that celebrate growth, learning, and dignity. When your surroundings reflect your values, your presence becomes stronger because you are not constantly battling disrespect from multiple angles. There is also power in setting expectations with those already in your life. People often do not know your boundaries until you communicate them clearly. If you need certain standards in your relationships, honesty, punctuality, respectful language, or support, make them explicit. And when someone crosses the line, reinforce the consequences. This doesn't make you controlling. It demonstrates that you value yourself enough to demand respect. Consider this. Your network is a mirror of how you allow the world to treat you. If you tolerate disrespect from those closest to you, you teach the world it is acceptable elsewhere. But if you consistently surround yourself with people who honor your boundaries, encourage your growth, and demonstrate integrity, you cultivate an ecosystem where respect is the norm. Finally, remember that curation is ongoing. People change, priorities shift, and environments evolve. Periodically reassess who and what you allow near you. Ask yourself whether your circle strengthens your confidence, supports your goals, and aligns with your values. Make adjustments courageously, because maintaining respect requires vigilance, not passivity. When you deliberately curate your allies and environment, you are not just protecting yourself. You are amplifying the power of everything you have built so far. Your self-respect, your boundaries, your emotional mastery, and your voice all flourish in a space where respect is mutual and reinforced. And when that happens, disrespect becomes rare, fleeting, and powerless. Because you are no longer operating in a vacuum. You are surrounded by a world that mirrors the respect you demand and embody. Respect is not built in a single moment. It is not earned overnight. It is cultivated slowly, intentionally, Through the small choices you make every day, the tiny habits that reinforce your self-worth, your boundaries, and your presence. These rituals may seem insignificant on their own, but over time, they compound into an unshakable foundation that makes disrespect almost impossible to endure. Consider how you start your day. Do you wake up and immediately surrender your mind to distractions, notifications, or the opinions of others? Or do you take a moment for yourself to breathe, to center, to declare your intentions? A simple daily ritual, such as standing tall in front of the mirror and affirming your worth, sets the tone for every interaction that follows. When you remind yourself of your values first thing in the morning, you are programming your mind to operate from strength, not insecurity. Tiny habits matter because they shape your identity. Self-respect is not something you have to summon only. When challenged, it should live inside you, woven into the fabric of your day. Simple actions like honoring your commitments, completing a task without procrastination, or responding calmly instead of impulsively, all reinforce the message to yourself and to the world. I am reliable. I am disciplined. I am worthy. Each small act of integrity builds momentum, making it easier to command respect when situations are high stakes. Rituals are also about boundaries in action. It is one thing to set a boundary in theory. It is another to practice it daily. For example, if you decide to protect your mornings from distractions, resist checking messages, or engaging in gossip before completing your own priorities. If you value your energy, create a daily habit of stepping away from negativity, even if just for 5 minutes, to reset your focus and composure. These small, consistent practices reinforce your standards and teach others how seriously you take them. Emotional mastery, too, is strengthened through daily habits. Taking just a few minutes each day to practice mindful breathing, journaling, or reflecting on emotional triggers creates resilience. Over time, you begin to respond to provocation with calm. Rather than react impulsively, you become a person whose presence is steady, whose voice carries weight, and whose actions reflect control, all because you have rehearsed it quietly, day by day. Even communication can become a daily ritual. Commit to speaking deliberately, thinking before you respond, and using your words with precision. This habit trains your mind and body to project authority, and it ensures that when disrespect arises, you are ready with clarity, calmness, and confidence each day as you choose your words carefully and act intentionally. Respect becomes inevitable because you are consistently living in alignment with it. Another critical daily ritual is reflection. Spend a few minutes at the end of each day evaluating your actions. Did you uphold your standards? Did you maintain your boundaries? Did you respond with composure? If not, identify where you can improve tomorrow. This reflection is not about self-criticism. It is about refinement. It ensures that respect is not an abstract goal, but a lived reality, continuously strengthened through awareness and adjustment. Finally, rituals create a feedback loop of confidence. When you consistently honor your body, your mind, your words, and your time, you internalize the message that you are someone worth respecting. This confidence radiates outward, shaping how others perceive you, They feel it, they sense it, and even subtle shifts, a calm tone, steady eye contact, disciplined habits are enough to deter disrespect before it even happens. In essence, these daily habits are the quiet engine behind every display of respect. They reinforce your self-respect, sharpen your boundaries, stabilize your emotions, and cultivate presence. They are the invisible threads that hold your dignity intact when the world tests it. Over time, they accumulate into an almost magnetic force, a personal gravity that draws respect naturally. Because people recognize that you honor yourself consistently, unflinchingly, and without exception.